Hey guys, thanks for watching this week. My name is Maggie. I make videos about my donor egg IVF process and premature ovarian failure. Today, this video is inspired by Instagram / Facebook ads. So I've seen a lot of ads, both just like the regular posts and then like individual people advertising for Modern Fertility. So I was interested by that, and I just kind of wanted to compare and contrast what information you could glean from a modern fertility test and compare it to a first clinic appointment in the tests that they do, but then also like potential costs and stuff, and just gonna tell you what I think. So Modern Fertility charges $159 for their tests. You can get $20 off from like a bunch of different podcasts and individual influencer discounts. So there's that. You can also use FSA and HSA money to pay for the test. So they are going to test you for AMH, or anti-mullerian hormone, that measures ovarian reserve. They'll also test you for TSH, which relates to thyroid function, FSH, which relates to growing follicles / starting ovulation, and estradiol, which is ovarian sex hormone. They'll do free T4, which also relates to thyroid function. Prolactin relates to milk production, and luteinizing hormone, which measures the length of a cycle. So a good amount of blood work that it tests for. And then as compared to a first clinic appointment, which the cost is like super dependent on what that could be. Sort of depends on your clinic, what they charge, what insurance may cover, if you have insurance, if that insurance covers fertility related stuff. For our clinic, we did a phone consult for our first appointment, and that was for a few different reasons, mostly because our clinic is in California, and secondly because I think at that time that's what the clinic preferred. And typically I think that they charged between $50 and $75 for that initial consultation, but they had to reschedule us, so then they waived the fee for it. So like I said, super dependent on what it could cost. So at that appointment, typically the clinic's going to ask for FSH, LH, the luteinizing hormone, estradiol, TSH, and prolactin as well. These are ones that frequently get tested throughout as well. I'd say it kind of depends on what you're doing though. Like for my tests, like preparing for the transfer, they've been measuring the estradiol, my TSH, and progesterone levels as well. And then also they're probably going to ask for an ultrasound or a saline ultrasound. So that typically comes up. Now for me, my first appointment was pretty much just a consultation because I'd already gotten all of this blood work done at different times. So I sent it over to the clinic and had them take a look. And I've already gotten the premature ovarian failure diagnosis, so my first appointment with the clinic wasn't much. It was just him. He looked over my other health related stuff, and basically just we talked about the egg donor program and all of that. So this appointment's gonna look different depending on what you're going in there for. Like I feel like unexplained infertility, that first clinic appointment is super crucial. For me, it was just like getting to talk to my doctor on the phone, having him, introduce me to like what the timeline, or not timeline, but what the process looks like. So it's going to be different for each person. So I feel like the main market for modern fertility probably isn't somebody who is like actively trying to have kids, but it's more like somebody who would like to know like what their situation looks like because they want to have kids in the future. And these tests, your doctor may not order them, or you may not have a doctor that you go to regularly. Like a lot of people are uninsured, and I tried looking up what some of these tests would cost, and it's just like super hard to figure out, because a lot of lab tests, it's not like you can go easily to like a Quest Diagnostics lab and be like, okay, I want an AMH test, like how much is that? It's like, okay, well, what doctor ordered it? You have to get the doctor order, and you have to do it, and then you have to figure out all of your insurance stuff and your deductible and everything. So that's what makes it complicated, and that's what's nice about the modern fertility thing, is that it's the $159 and that's what you have to pay. Now, if it were me and I was just curious and I wanted to know, I'd probably try to ask my doctor to see if they would order the tests and get the order, and then try to figure out from there what it would cost. And then if they don't order the tests, go from there to like see why they won't order it. And something useful I found out, this is just a random tid that doesn't really have anything to do with modern fertility or anything, but if you ask for a test, like let's say the thyroid testing, and your doctor says no, make sure to ask them to note their refusal on their chart, just in case that becomes useful to you later, because they could, if I go into my doctor and I say like, hey, like I want TSH and free T4 testing, and the doctor's like, no, I don't think you need that. They could just not write it down at all. And you don't know for sure whether they would, but if you specifically ask them, then they should write it down, and you can, just in case it becomes relevant later. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess basically what I'm trying to say is I think that these tests could be super useful, and if your doctor is not willing to order them for whatever reason, or you don't have a doctor, your insurance is bad, like whatever, $159 for all these tests is a pretty good deal, especially because most people's deductibles are pretty high, and if it's not like, and a lot of the fertility stuff like isn't covered very well anyway. And if you do end up having any sort of issue with this stuff, you can kind of get to work on it, because like whatever the test results say, it's not gonna change whatever the situation is, but it can kind of push you into what sort of action you need to take, or may want to take, and just give you more data points to work with. And I just think that that's really important, because I totally understand, like, family planning, it's not like it may have been 20 or 30 years ago. It's different now, and there's a lot of reasons that you might want to wait, or like your relationship might be right, or whatever, and it's just nice to be able to plan. And there's really so many options out there for you now that you don't have to do the whole find the right person, get your relationship status to whatever you want it to be before you start trying to have kids, get to your career to whatever you want it to be before you try to start having kids, and then try to have kids for a year and then go get the testing to figure out like what might be the issue. Or you might be in a situation where like you are able to have kids within that year or whatever. But just getting some testing done for $159 to have an idea of what that experience might be like is super valuable, I think, because if there would be any issue, then time is always on your side to start earlier. And I think doing one of these when you like don't like want to have kids like yesterday, 2 years ago, whatever, is super cool, because then the stress is off, the pressure is off, and then when you find something out, you could feel stressed out, but you also know like, hey, I know about this and I can do something about it. Whereas, ignorance is bliss only for so long, in my opinion. Like, it's not blissful when you have to face whatever the situation is. With something like this, if you know that it's something you want, you can plan around that. And it's not to say that like you do this modern fertility test and you decide like that you have to freeze your eggs or you have to, do anything. It's just data to work with, and you can decide what you want to do from there. So yeah, I think it's really cool. There's this Bachelor contestant I follow. Her name is Caroline Lunny. She actually used the modern fertility test and found out that she has like some ovarian reserve issues. So it's allowed her to kind of snap into action. I don't have a modern fertility code. I'm not part of the market for modern fertility, so I will not be getting a code. But what I'm going to do is share her code below. I'll share like her Instagram, like whatever, like so you can have it if you need it. And that way you can get that $20 off. Hey, why not? Thanks so much for watching. I'll touch base with you guys next week.